This video is brought to you by my wonderful patrons and subscribers on Patreon and Subscribestar. These wonderful people are Jack Whitchurch, Magpie, Master Stew over at Patreon, Master Stew over at Patreon. If you would like to see even more videos in the future and allow me to do this full time, please do consider donating to one of these services of your choice. Now on with the video. Hey guys, local news time, and today it comes very close to home. Well, maybe not so close anymore, but for the vast majority of my teenage years, my early adult years, and even my YouTube years were spent living near the area this company is named after, Chorlton. I'll tell you what Chorlton is like soon, but the name of this particular company is called Chorlton Brewing Company, and it specialises in contemporary beer inspired by Germanic brewing traditions. I'm sure it's nothing. Yeah, it's probably nothing. They also say that we care deeply about ethics and try hard not to trash the planet or do uncool things in the pursuit of money. Well, isn't that lovely? I suppose that also applies to treating people with kindness? We'll see. We prioritise supplying to independent businesses, and our beer is always unfiltered, unpasteurised and unfined. I'd rather a warm Stella in a crap pub, thank you very much. That means it's a living product and suitable for vegans. Such strange language from these Chorltonites. Okay, so now that we know what the company is, then what about the area that it's named after? Well, you see, contrary to a lot of the memes in that area of YouTube, particularly from the British and the like, Manchester is actually one of the more wealthiest cities in the UK. In fact, it's considered an economic powerhouse in the north at least. We have some absolutely terrible areas like a place called Openshaw and some infamous areas like Moss Side that have actually seen worse days compared to what they are like now, but we do have plenty of very middle class affluent areas that are dens of soy and cookery. Chorlton is but one of many, the other being Didsbury, you know, the same place where the Manchester bomber was radicalised. But anyway, Chorlton is very much a kind of Notting Hill type place if I'm correct. My knowledge of the biggest dump in the UK, London, is not very good, so you can expect plenty of left-wing middle-class hippie types who like to be green, sit around in bars and cafes and read The Guardian. Not everyone is like that, but the vast majority are, and you can very easily spot a Chorltonite. They practically all look the same. In fact, it's so left-wing that yes, it is a Labour stronghold, though don't be surprised if plenty of inhabitants have a lot of sympathy for the Greens and other left-wing parties in the UK. Now, just because Chorlton is like this, and a lot of its people are like this, doesn't mean it's not a nice place to live and the people are bad because of that. Not at all. I spent many great days in my young teenage years hanging out and having fun and shopping there. A lot of my friends come from there. Chorlton does have a place in my heart, and Chorltonites will always be nothing but a beloved lot of mine. But this company, and their owner in particular, make them look bad, and I can't be having my favourite group of champagne socialists ridiculed by such a company and by such a man. Let's take a look at him, shall we? This is Mike Marcus, and he is a business owner, a man of property, claims to only make 10 to 12,000 a year, so one has to wonder how he keeps that business afloat. I tried to reclaim the SJW tag and failed, but with someone who is linked to Chorlton, or at the very least, the type of person who would live in an area like Chorlton or Didsbury, yeah, he's going to be like that. And he's anti-fascist, by any means necessary. Also, much like yours truly, he has a useless degree. But look at this, he's got a black flag there. That can only mean one thing. He's an anarchist, and also with the EU flag in there, he's a Remainer. Not just any old Remainer, he's a Remainer that doesn't seem particularly patriotic enough to put his own nation's flag there. At least EU Supergirl does that. But what I find so funny is this man is an anarchist, a dyed-in-the-wool, full-on anarchist, yet he owns property, and property's bad to a true left-wing anarchist like he is. Has he even read Proudhon? He owns his own business, has a degree in fine art, presumably from a decent university, and supports a monolithic, anti-democratic, extremely hierarchical pseudo-state, the European Union. Methinks the man has some double standards, but if the typical anarchist didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all. Oh, but don't worry, craft beer began as a response to runaway capitalism, so it's okay, he's fighting the economic system that allows him to build his own business. Now, why am I talking about this local man and his local business? Well, they reached worldwide infamy only a few days ago when the Twitter page of Chorlton Brewing Company posted some rather provocative and politically hostile tweets. Yes, the pages of both his company and his own are highly political. He has gone woke and is now going to go broke. It first started with this tweet. Note to our customers, please don't throw our beer over fascists. Hit them over the head with a brick, as is traditional. This is a direct incitement to violence. It's bad enough to say throw milkshake or eggs at people, but Mr. Marcus here has decided to go full MDL and tell his own consumer base to throw bricks at fascists. And who are these fascists? We all know who the fascists usually are labelled as. People like Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson, Sargon of Akkad, etc. Centrists, or at the very least people on the right, but not fascists. Fascism is an authoritarian ideology with origins in... Oh no! Can't can't hit our kid Marcus with these home truths. Quick, back to the analysis. So basically, a fascist, as we have discerned for the past few years now, is any enemy of the political establishment and also the enemies of his own ideologies. Tweets like this would get the average person arrested by GMP on charges to incite violence, but when it's done by some of their ideological bedfellows, it's sleepy time for GMP. It's tweets like these that arouse violent sentiment in people to go out try to beat up a legitimate candidate for MEP. It's sentiments that cause civil strife and even civil war. But it's okay when they do it. The company was quickly taken to task for this by members of the public, and what did Marcus have to say? It is acceptable. The only possible endpoint of the political path espoused by the far right is genocide. It happened before and it may happen again. Selective considered violent action is acceptable if it prevents another 12 million murders. Hashtag Antifa. So basically, to prevent potential genocide by people who are not even far right and have never expressed genocidal intentions, we must be violent and we must beat them up. No thought as to the optics of such tactics. No, we simply have to bash the fash for the good of some mythical people who could get genocided. Presumably some Bammy type person on the progressive stack, but it's not political violence. It is simply selective considered violent action, and all to prevent another Holocaust. Yes, he is actually using that as an excuse, even though it's his side that currently have the anti-Semitism problems and have their own fair share of genocides. Kulaks! Even though no Nazi is currently in power in the West and the anarchists around the world subsequent actual genocides in places like Cambodia, Rwanda, etc., but they were all in third world countries, it doesn't count. Besides, in the former's case, it wasn't true communism. As for the 12 million figure, he's referring to all groups targeted by the Nazis, not just the Jews. But that's only an estimate, could be lower, could be higher. Just so you know, guys. Oh, and he supports Antifa. But Marcus, see the thing is, we have our own ways of dealing with commies and anarchists. But Marcus, I've one thing to ask. How would you feel if you yourself happened to have a message sent to you by the right-wing death squads? Well, it turns out that any threat of violence directed towards Mr. Marcus and his company is not acceptable. Only Marcus and members of his ideological cult can threaten and incite violence on others. Because remember, this middle-class property-owning businessman is punching up, not down. And he says, we just received what seems to be a threat. The IP address points to the head offices of Abercrombie in London. Oh dear, it seems that not only are you a crazy lunatic and a larper, you're also a coward. You can dish it, but you can't take it. Just like the typical Antifa supporter. When push comes to shove, you fall down. What next? You're going to call the police to protect you? Need daddy government to come and tell off the naughty fascist response team to leave you alone? First off, it's most likely a troll. No one in the offices of Abercrombie and Fitch in London is going to be using a work computer, which is probably monitored, to send you threats. This is either some kind of VPN, an IP address hijack, or masking. I don't know, I'm not an expert, but it sounds plausible to me. Secondly, the name Fascist Response Team. You can't get more fake if you tried. There is no group called Fascist Response Team, and it seems that they may have purposefully made this Gmail account just to send you this, to see how you would react. And you reacted probably in the way they wanted you to, like a crying little hypocrite, Marcus. Bring shame to Manchester and all Mancunians. I disavow. Now apparently, according to Infowars, the company's Yelp page was bombarded with bad reviews, though they seem to have been deleted, but I did see that on Facebook. Even though I can't see any bad reviews, their rating is a 1.9, so it is clear some people went over to tell them exactly how they think. Now, do I think Mr. Marcus is going to be punished? I doubt it. GMP are far more interested in either not doing anything, escorting Muslim extremists after they started a riot, or harassing people like Janaea English. I honestly would be amazed if the police did anything and arrested him or whoever wrote the tweet, but these people are nothing but a symptom, maybe part of the larger cause, but definitely a symptom of the cancer in this country, extremism, and the normalisation of political violence and otherisation that is destroying our society and politics. This is not the makings of a stable and peaceful nation. It is the tremors of revolution, anarchy, and war. Do I think civil war is likely? No, I still don't, even if I'm being hyperbolic like Tim Pool is wont to do, but stuff like this is emblematic of what I said. And the establishment, law enforcement, normies, do they even care? We'll see when the boots start marching in the streets, or normalcy returns. See you later, guys.